Hi everyone, welcome back to the AI language. Today we are going to look at the Visual Agent Developer by Google ADK or Agent Development Kit. Now this is a visual no-code builder for agents using Google's ADK, and this is very similar to what we have seen with OpenAI Agent Builder and with n8n. It's available as part of ADK Web and it offers you this canvas, and you can actually zoom in and see over here. It says start building your ADK, drag components from the left panel to create your workflow, drag to move nodes, and shift plus click to connect the nodes. All right. So this is the canvas that it provides. And today we are going to start from scratch and set this up and build a very simple agent that generates web pages using this no-code builder from Google ADK. So it's going to be very exciting because this is the first no-code builder that uses Google's ADK as the agent framework, and it is a part of ADK itself from Google. Alright, so as a first step, let's just look at the agent builder and what all it has on its home page or on the starting page, right? So it has this message in the center and we already looked at this message, right? So it says start building your ADK and drag components from the left panel to create your workflow. You can drag to move nodes and you can shift plus click to connect nodes, all right? So this is what it says in the beginning. You also have a sidebar over here. Now this sidebar has multiple options for configuration. So you have sub agents and you can actually zoom in over here and click on the plus button. And you have options to add LLM agent, sequential agent, loop agent, or parallel agent. Alright, so these are the different workflow agents that you have in ADK. And this is the base class, like an LLM agent that is a simple agent that does a certain task based on its instructions. Alright. Next, you also have an option to add callbacks. So you can click on the plus button and add callbacks before agent and after agent. And we're not going to go into the details of all things over here because right now the purpose is to set this up from scratch and build at least one simple agent so that we get a hang of how to use the ADK Visual Builder. You also have this save and cancel button at the bottom over here where you can actually save your workflow or your agents that you have created using the no-code builder. And you can also click on cancel over here. Finally, if you zoom out over here and then if you look at this end, you have pretty interesting options over here. So of course you have the simple, option to accept or reject what you have built using the agent builder. So you have this tick mark over here to accept and the cross to exit builder mode. But this is pretty interesting because you actually get a builder assistant that uses Gemini. So if you click on this, you see that it says your assistant is ready and your builder assistant is ready to help you build agents. So essentially what you do over here is that you go down to this chat box which says ask Gemini to build your agent. You enter a prompt describing what kind of agent do you want. And what Gemini will do is that it will actually then ask you some clarification questions like what model do you want to use? Do you want any sub agents, etc.? Then ask for confirmation and actually build out all the agent for you and then write out these files to your local folder. All right. So this is intended to be, I think, similar to the feature that we have in n8n, where you actually describe the workflow and the agents that you want, and it actually then uses AI to build out that workflow for you. So that's a basic overview of this page. And if you press cancel over here, you see that you come back to the ADK web interface. You have a chat box over here to chat with your agent with the regular controls that come with it. And then you have different options over here to see the trace, events, state, etc. You can select your agent from this drop down over here. And then you have the option for token streaming, session, etc. To delete the current session and then to download or export the current session. And then you can see all the messages over here, etc. Right? So this is our standard ADK web interface that we have seen before, and it's running on localhost, which is also similar to what we have done before. You can access the agent builder by clicking on the edit button over here. Before that, you need to create one agent, and then if you click on edit, you can actually then go ahead and edit that agent over here. All right. We look at this in more detail once we go through the setup and how to work with this. Now, one caveat over here is that this is very, very new. It has a lot of glitches as of the recording of this video. You'll see errors like, the nodes might be misplaced over here and things like that. So just be, tolerant of that because it's very, very new and they're working towards building this agent builder. At present, we don't even have good documentation on how to use it. But eventually, as time passes, I think the project will improve the agent builder experience and we'll get a full-fledged agent builder. Another interesting note is that the files actually built on the backend when you see in your local folder correspond to YAML files which are similar to the agent config feature that we have. So it's probably built on agent config and using those feature sets to then build a visual builder on top of it. So it looks pretty exciting, and once it's fully developed, we'll actually use it, or you can actually use it for building many workflows. Great. So now let's start and set this up from scratch. So let's shift to VS Code and let's first look at what we are going to build. So we are going to build a simple web page generator, and it's going to just take in a user input, which is a topic on which you want to build the web page. It's then going to have a simple agent, which is the root website builder. And this is a single agent that will build a unified HTML plus CSS plus JS web page using this query. So it is as simple as that, and we're going to add the code and the setup to our ADK samples repository. So we've already looked at this repository based on the instructions in the course. You can also find a link to this in the description. And this is where we're actually going to build a new folder for this no code agent experience. So you do need a code folder because the no code builder is going to write out the files which are backing up what you're building using that inside this particular folder. Okay. And to run this no code builder, we'll use the ADK Web command. So when we run ADK Web, we get the no code builder tool. And once you build the agent, the YAML files that represent this agent are written to the folder where you have run ADK Web from. So that is what we are going to build. So to begin with, we are going to first make a new folder over here, and you can actually follow these steps on your own. So that you can actually build it. Once you check out the code from the ADK samples repo, you will see the version 6 folder over here, which I'm going to just add right now. But I would recommend that you follow these steps in your own folder or directory, wherever you want. They're pretty simple, and that will just help you get a hang of how to build this on your own. You can copy the instructions, etc. for the agent from the code that you have checked out so that you don't have to type it again. Alright, so let me now create the version 6 folder. So let me just click outside over here and let's click the plus button to create a directory over here. And let's name that. So I'm going to name it version 6 ADK no code and press enter. So now we have this folder over here. Let me zoom out. Let's just close this license file and the preview over here, and let's go to the terminal from over. Let me expand this and let's click on terminal, and then let's zoom in over here. Now I'm currently in the ADK samples directory, so I just need to change my directory to version 6. And let me do that, and now I am in the version 6 ADK no code directory. Now over here, I'm going to first type UV init to initialize a new Python project. Alright, so now it says initialized project version 6 ADK no code. You can see that I have a try_project.yml file, a readme.md file, a main.py file, and a Python version file. Now I'm going to actually start a virtual environment or create a virtual environment over here. So I'll say uv-venv and then press enter. And this is going to create a .venv folder over here. So I can just zoom in and show that to you. And that's this folder over here. Now let's activate this virtual environment. So let's type source.venv/bin/activate and let's press enter. So now you see this label version 6 ADK no code over here, which just shows you that the virtual environment is activated. Now I need to add the Google ADK package to my virtual environment. So I'll write uv add and then write google-adk and let's press enter. Now this installs ADK for me, and I can actually check what version it's installed. So it's 1.18.0. And this is the current version with a very early version of the no code builder. As this version updates, you might have different features being added or removed. So for this video, we are going to stick with 1.18 because this is a very basic introduction, and you can actually see this version also in the pyproject.yml file, which we have over here. So here we have the ADK version, which is 1.18.0. Alright, so once we have the ADK version set up, we can actually go back over here and we can create a .env file for our Google API key. So let me write touch and then .env. Alright, so once I do that, I will have a .env file over here. So let me open this file and then let's go over here and let's add an entry for Google API key. So let's write Google underscore API underscore key. And now we have Google API key equals, and then we can add a Google API key over here. Now to get the Google API key, you need to go to your Google account and visit aistudio.google.com. So let's do that now. Alright, so I'm here at my browser and I've come to aistudio.google.com/API-keys. Alright, so you can go to the AI Studio and click on Get API Key on the home page, or you can directly visit this website. And once you do that, you can actually go over here and click on Create API Key. So let me do that over here. We can give our API key some name over here. So let me call this ADK no code key. And then just select a cloud project and click on Create Key. It'll create a new key for you and you'll get this key over here. Let's copy this key from over here and head back to VS Code. And once we are back in VS Code, we can just type this key over here. So let's paste this key over here and let's click on save, or actually you can press Command S and save this file. Now the good thing is that ADK Web will automatically look at the environment file over here, and then it'll look for this particular key, which is Google API key. And if it finds that, it is going to automatically use this. As always, keep this key secure and don't disclose this. I'm going to delete this key at the end of this lecture, and also add this env file to gitignore. So you can actually go down over here and look at the gitignore file. If you don't have one, just select this folder and click on the plus file button over here and type in .gitignore. Just type in .env over here and save this, and now this file will not be committed to your repository. Alright, so that's all we need to set up our environment and the API key. Now let's close these files, and then now let's look at our agent flow diagram. Alright, so I have the visualizations folder over here. I can go to agent flow diagram. Let me add this agent flow diagram to the version 6 ADK code. And now let's open this file and then right click this and click on open preview. So again, you can see that it's a pretty simple agent with an input topic. Then you have the simple agent, which is the root website builder. It'll have some instructions to, consider this topic and build a web page. And then you have the final HTML output in a unified HTML+CSS+JS web page. So to begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the terminal. Let's clear everything out over here and let's write ADK space web and press enter. Once you do that, you'll see it says something like Uvicon running on HTTP localhost 8000. So actually press command or control and then click this particular URL, and this is going to open the browser window for you. Now this is the standard ADK web interface, and now we can start building our agent using the no code builder. To start building this, let's click on select an agent, and you'll see that we don't actually have an agent to select because we have started from a blank folder. So we'll instead click on plus, and which says create new agent in builder mode. So you do need to create the agent using this, and only then you can use the builder mode to edit it and work on it. If you use a pre-existing agent that you built using code, it will actually not work. So let's click here, and once you do that, you get this option to create a new app. Start with a letter or underscore and contain only letters, digits and underscores. So let me write web page generator, and that's the name I'm going to give to my new app. Let's click on create. Okay, so you might have seen that we briefly went to the agent builder screen and then we came back to the ADK web interface. Again, this is probably some kind of bug, I'm not sure, but the first agent that you create actually does not take you to the builder mode, and the option to edit this is also grayed out. So what we'll do is we'll create another agent and we'll just retry this action. Let me call my app now web page generator 2, and let's click on create. Okay, so now it actually comes to the agent development kit's UI for the agent builder. All right. And you have this left panel, which is the configuration panel. You can also add tools and sub agents and callbacks over here, and then click on save. If you click on cancel over here, you'll actually go back to the previous screen without saving all this. So you should do that. Now in the center, you have this canvas and you have the plus button to add different kinds of agents over here. And for now, we're not going to do that because we're just going to build a simple single agent system. And on the right, you have the agent builder assistant, and it says that I am your agent builder assistant and I can help you design, build and configure ADK multi-agent systems. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to first create the agent using the option over here, which is by manually setting the instructions. All right. So let me do that now. I'll keep the name same as webpage generator 2, and it's actually is the one that we entered earlier on. You can't change it over here. The agent type is LLM agent, and this refers to the class that we use inside of the Python code when we build ADK agents using the Python code. Then I'm going to choose the model, and there are only two options available. So we are going to choose 2.5 flash because that's the faster one. So that's enough for our testing. And now we have the instructions. Build a single unified HTML plus CSS plus JS document that is a web page as per the user query. All right. So this is the instruction that we are going to give it. Pretty simple over here, and just so that we can test it out and see how this works. Now let's add a description over here. So for the description, it's optional, but I'm going to enter single page website builder agent. Now you have the options for tools, and you can add function tools, built-in tools and agent tool. You can also add sub agents and callbacks, but we're just going to keep it at this, and let's click on save and see what this does. Here is the save button. So I'm going to click it over here. And once I do that, I come to the ADK window over here. All right. And this is the ADK Web window, which is the interface where we have the chat box to chat with the agent. So let's try chatting with this agent now. I'm going to confirm which agent selected over here. So it is webpage generator 2, and I have token streaming. So I'm going to turn this on, and now let's enter a query. So I'm going to say build a generic landing page template, and that's my query for the agent. Let's press enter now. And you can see that the agent is now working over here. The response for the agent will come in over here, and we can also go back to VS Code to check if the agent is working properly. It's going to show you some logs over here. So if you can zoom in over here, and you see that it's actually working. So there's a post request that it has made. All right, and now you can see that we have the response from the agent over here, and this is the entire HTML document that it has built. So that's great. We have some response from the agent. We can actually copy the entire thing, and let's now check this out in VS Code. So I'm going to go over here and click on version 6 ADK no code, and let's just create a new folder over here. Let's call this output. Let's expand this, and then let's create a new file. And let's call this output1.html. And now let's press enter. And inside this file over here, I'm going to paste the entire code that I've copied. Let's save this file, and everything looks good because this is all green. So there is no error, it seems, in the file, right? So I'm just going to use this. Let's go to Safari and open this in a new tab. So here I am in this new tab, and you can see over here that I've opened this particular path. We prefix file : and // and then paste the entire path, and this can then open it. And you can also open this in Chrome or any other browser that you wish to open in. Now let's look at what it has made. So you have your header, you have the hero section over here, and you have this why choose us. There's also what our customers say. So you have testimonials, and then you have a ready to get started section with a call to action button over here. All right, so this looks great for the simple agent that we have made, and we basically aim to understand how to build this rather than to actually focus on what output it's produced. But still, it's amazing to see what it has produced over here. Now let's close this tab, and let's try to use this plus button and the agent builder assistant to make another web page generator. All right, so let's click on the plus button here, and let's call this web page generator 3. So I've named it web page generator _3. And now actually I can just click on create to create this app. All right, so now I have this web page generator 3 created with the configuration over here. But I'm going to now head over to the assistant and try to use this. So I have the welcome message from the assistant over here. Let me go down to the chat box, and let me just type in a query over here. All right, so build an agent that makes a single unified HTML, CSS plus JS doc based on a user query. So that's my input to it, and let's press the send message button over here. Let's zoom out, and let's just zoom in the text over here so that we can see it better in its entirety. All right, so the first thing that it says is that, choose the model that you want. So before I propose a design for this agent, please confirm what model do you want to use. So I'll just say default, and that will refer to the Flash model out of the two. So either 2.5 Flash or 2.5 Pro. So I'll just say default. Now while it's working, it's important to check the logs and see if there are any errors or not. So you can check the VS Code terminal window or the other terminal window that you might be running it from, and just check if the response from Gemini is an error or something, because that happens when I guess when you're using free API keys like we are using for testing, and the error generally is that the model is overloaded and please try again. So you can just try again at that time, but for now it has worked. So it says you have chosen to use the default model Gemini 2.5 Flash. This is the agent name that it's giving it, the agent type and the model. Then there's the architecture overview. This will be a single LLM agent responsible for directly interacting with the Gemini 2.5 Flash model, and the primary function will be so and so. And then as per ADK requirements, this file will always be an LLM agent. Now they'll create a single configuration file root agent.yml, and this is the content of that file. All right. So it says, please review this plan. Should I proceed with creating this file? So let me just say yes over here and check this out in VS Code. So it does say that the request response has been received from the model at 1348. But somehow this actually does not turn up over here. All right. So this might be some issue with the current version of the ADK no code UI builder, and this might actually then get resolved in future versions. But this is how essentially it works and tries to help you build this particular agent. As a second step, I'm just going to retry the entire process in Chrome and see if that works. So let me copy the web page address from here. Alright, so now we have this entire setup open in Chrome, and I'm just going to retry the steps that we did earlier. So I'm going to say build a web page generator to make a unified HTML+CSS+JS document representing a web page requested by the user in their query. And let's just press the send button over here. Alright, so again there's a choice of model. So I'm going to say default. Alright, so now I have the response, and this time it actually gives me the root agent.yml. And it also gives me an empty tools directory for a Python package and a webpage writer.py tool to actually, so this Python file will contain a custom tool that the webpage generator can call to write the generated HTML, CSS, JS content to a file. So this is more elaborate than what we had earlier, but let me just approve this plan and see what happens. All right, so again, I see that, we are at a response received from the model, but we don't have any output over here. And if you go ahead and look at your VS Code files over here, so you do have webpage generator 3 because that's what we actually made, but you have an empty root agent.yml file over here. So you can actually zoom in over here, and it just has a default, you are the root agent that coordinates other agents. So the agent builder does try to actually give us all the files, but it's not able to create those files. So that's how it works as of now. What I'm going to do is we are going to now use this as a base to build more agents with the agent builder, using both the agent builder assistant and using the configuration and the settings that are available in the left bar on the agent builder. So thanks a lot for watching. Again, this should give you a good base to start tinkering with this agent builder, which is very, very new as of the recording of this particular lecture. So please be tolerant of the issues that you might see over here. Looks pretty good because it works with all the features of ADK, and you can add sub agents and tools and all the workflow orchestrations that we saw in terms of sequential and parallel and loop agents. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this as the base to build further upon this particular skill, so that we're able to build agents using this no code builder. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture.